It's the Bachelor lifestyle. Can I steal you for a minute? It's my first impression, bros. Prime back to Jay Stewart breaking down all the shows. It's the Bachelor on ABC with Chris Harrison. You crying in a limo sent home. How embarrassing. The most dramatic ever. And that's what we like. Play your cards right. You might end up.
Welcome back, or welcome for the first time even. The very first, and I'm glistening because it's so fucking hot in here. The very first ever video, a week behind schedule, but the good things come to those who wait. A week behind schedule. It is the Bachelor lifestyle from theballerlifestyle.com. Recorded to YouTube. Jason Stewart. My name is Brian Beckner, of course. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Jason Stewart with his signature intro. Jason, how are you?
Hello, everybody.
Woo!
Hello there.
So exciting.
I'm so used to, because my day job is radio, and for 8 to 10 years now, our correspondence on this podcast has been just audio. So it's like you have your just normal way of speaking into a microphone, and just like looking at you, it's a little bit off-putting.
It's different, right?
And nothing to do with your physical appearance.
Yeah, I look like shit. Everybody tells me I look like shit every fucking time I do one of these.
Nothing, but what I'm saying has nothing to do with the way you look. It's just that there's another human being looking at me.
It's weird.
It's a strange one. So let's just do it, and then we'll see what the feedback is.
I know we're always doing it. We're doing it. This is what we do now.
But like, how has the baller lifestyle feedback been? Like, what's the
good positive
the general consensus?
So for those that don't know, I do another podcast, The Baller Lifestyle, and I do it with a co-host, Ed Daly, and Ed is pretty handsome. And so the feedback mostly has been, hey, Ed, you're really handsome. Hey, Brian, you look like an uglier version of Ron Jeremy. Hey, Brian, are you ill? Do you have an illness? Hey, Brian, like, what's up with the way you look? You're disgusting. So that's mostly been what it is. And I've said this many times, Jason. I agree with these people. In real life, I am someone that women want to have sex with. Like, that's the end, period, end of sentence. I am a pretty attractive man in real life. If you take a picture of me, there starts to be problems. You look at that picture, you go, ooh, what's going on there? Does he live under a bridge? Yeah. What's happening? If I'm on a video, you see it and you go, oh, this man's not well. Is he en route to a hospital? Is he being tended to by medical professionals? And that's just the world I live in. I'm not a photogenic person. I look like shit. So, hey, we're doing the thing. We're on video, and this is how it's going to be. You're the better looking guy here now. I'm always going to be second fiddle, and that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the better looking guy, but I certainly can't stand looking at myself on video.
Yeah.
So I just assume that, like, to other people, there's off-putting. So I typically don't do videos.
Yeah, I understand.
But we could try this.
No,
I do need to remind our new viewers.
Yeah. Do or do not. There is no try. This is it.
Okay,
this is the thing we do now.
Okay. But I do need to remind the listeners and the new viewers here that this podcast that we've been doing for, it seems like a decade. It's been
in different incarnations.
Right. It's been referred to as a great white shark in a sea of Bachelor podcasts. And I think that's a great analogy, because our show has teeth. We're not beholden to the Bachelor family. We're not beholden to ABC.
We're not beholden or beholden. Yes.
Whatever it takes. Yeah. We don't need to follow the rules.
That's right.
You're going to get everything. Everything we say is unfiltered.
Yes.
Reaction of two men, middle-aged white men, watching a show filled with women and men whose are kids' ages.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to date Brian, but I think he's got a couple older teenagers, and I've got a 27-year-old.
Yeah. It's crazy.
right in that Gen Z that we are talking about. So
Yep.
we're both on record also as saying that the show is a despicable program
That's right.
that only wants to embarrass 20-somethings that want to be famous.
Yep.
And they do a pretty damn good job of it.
I agree.
So the last 2 nights have been 4 hours of Bachelor content.
Not for
And knowing,
bribery.
I was gonna say, what percentage of forwarding did you do, and how much did you finish?
Let's just say you're gonna have to update me on the outcome. I got there.
Okay.
I watched the overnights, so I got the gist. I know what's going on. I know Devin's a bitch. That's what I know.
Yeah.
I know what's going on. I know enough. Oh, before we get into it though, last week you were big mad about because I had prepped you. I had gotten you anxious to do this on video, and at the last minute, and I remember it's because it was my daughter's birthday, and I was taking her out to dinner, and I just didn't have time to set up, do the pod, and then I just had to get it done. So I feel like I'm always in a rush. But you were big mad about it, and I profusely apologized to you. But then I was thinking over the last couple of days, there have been a few times you've been really mad online about things, and I was hoping that before we got started, you could rank them. Number one, or no, in no particular order. You'll do the ranking. I'll just do this is just a list. A, the time Brian Beckner postponed for a week the YouTube component of this show 10 minutes before the show started. 2, the Game of Thrones finale. And lastly, San Diego Padres third baseman Manny Machado not playing baseball the right way. Can you rank those for me, please? In order of most angry to least angry online about those 3 events.
I think what's crazy about the last 2 is that those are very dated. Like I have been hating much worse things in recent months, but I'll play the game. I'll play the game.
I have, if you have, I haven't noticed, but I will be honest. Yeah. I'm not a Twitter user. Yeah. So I've missed, I would have missed the new things you're big mad about, but these are classics.
Yeah. They're classics. I think that Game of Thrones is always going to be up top of those 3 because I'll never forgive the writers for
Benioff
what they did in the final season. Yeah.
They fucked off to make a shitty Star Wars. Yeah.
Just the final season. And I want to say they didn't even end up making Star Wars. They finished the season early to do Star Wars, and they never even did it. Yeah, I'm one of the guys that read the books. Read the books,
but the books didn't even go up to that point. There was no finale in the books.
My point is, I was so invested in the stories, and to just half-ass the completion of each story like that I don't think it's a forgivable thing. So the finale is a little too specific. Remember, my anger is not towards the last episode; it's towards the final season.
Oh, interesting. Okay, but especially the last episode. Yeah,
I mean the whole thing sucked. Machado is third on my list because I've almost kind of forgotten about that because it's been so long since he was on the Dodgers, and he has not won a championship for the Padres.
That's right.
Even though they're a pretty good team, they play a good brand of baseball.
Yeah.
And his style, since I got really pissed at him, his style has been more accepted in Major League Baseball.
Oh.
You see their style when you're doing celebrations after every single in Major League Baseball, the standards have lowered considerably how to play the game the right way. So I guess you're right in the middle.
Oh no, you just said in the middle. Yeah, I expected to trail badly Manny Machado not playing baseball the right way. So color me shocked. I don't know if you noticed, but my mouth was agape when I came in second. Unbelievable. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jason. I needed that ranking before we got into it.
So we jump into this past week's episodes
Let's do it.
coming off of hometowns. Now, there's always like signature mandatory things that you have to do in the episode after hometowns. First of all, it's the episode of the fantasy suites.
That's right.
It went from fantasy suites. At some point, that was politically incorrect around the Harvey Weinstein, Me Too,
Yes.
and into 2020 when everyone was oversensitive about things. I think it became overnights just to be safe. Don't insinuate anyone's having a fantasy. The last thing we want to do is do that. And then in recent seasons, it's become fantasy suites.
Yeah,
So
they're fucking again too, and they're for a while they would have just allude to, or not even allude. They would just be like, "Oh, we had a nice night." But there's two things I noticed. So it used to be they give you that shot of the shoes, right? You see the shoes. You know, it's the next morning, and I won't belabor this as I often do. They don't give you a shot of anybody brushing their teeth, okay, ever. They don't, like, because they slept in bed the whole night, and then it's morning, and they're tongue kissing in bed, and the assumption is no one's gotten up and rinsed their mouth at that point, which is upsetting to me. But what they would do is they'd give you a quick shot of a slip or some kind of brassiere and a pair of usually high-heeled shoes on the floor, and you go, oh. They did some fucking. There was some fucking done in the fantasy suite last night. It's it's all said without saying it. Now they just basically go, "Oh yeah, we fucked it last night," and it was really fun having sexual intercourse. Like I rode Devin till the wee hours of the morning. Like they're not euphemizing it anymore. They're just letting you know, "Hey, we fuck," because they're sex positive.
And that's good. That's fine. And Jenn seems like a really cool chick. And
very.
I think it's very. I think I'm very comfortable stating that she had sex with all three guys. It was a couple seasons ago. Was it Josh who made some lame rule where he's not going to sleep with any of them?
No.
And then he actually ended up sleeping with one of them. What was the guy's name from Anaheim Hills?
Zach from Servite.
Zach. Yeah.
Who the first night he's like, I'm just letting you know. It was with our girl, the chick from New York, Anastasia, Annalise, Annabelle. Anyway, he's like, we're not banging. And then the next night he took Gabby back to the fantasy suite, and he's like, well, fuck that rule. And then they banged. And then for some reason, on the third fantasy suite, he announced to the girl that he eventually picked. Oh, by the way, I banged Gabby last night, which is very chivalrous of him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that was a different one, but I think this was pretty obvious. But going into the fantasy suites, we're coming off of overnights. I'm sorry, we're coming off of hometowns. Yep. So that means that there is like compulsory conversation about hometowns. There's definitely a format to these dates. So they meet for an activity. They have to talk about the hometowns, how their families were, how they were received, any tough questions. They got to do that every single time. They do a brief activity followed by uneaten food, which is code for usually one of the subjects shares a trauma with the other. Uneaten food before the fantasy suite, though, is let's do a toast. Keep in mind, a lot of toasts on these dates. You have a toast typically at the destination of the activity. I think Devin and Jenn went to a waterfall in Hawaii, and they toasted at the bottom of the waterfall. Then they went and toasted at the uneaten food. And then they got a toast when they get to the fantasy suite. Then they wake up and they toast. I mean,
a lot of toasting.
Way too many toasts over champagne.
That's more toasting than I've done in my life. I do a toast like a couple times a year, and they're doing hundreds of toasts in one date.
And you could tell they're stretching for material. They just don't know what to say. But anyways, Devin gets the first date. Now, Devin, just to give some background here, he's the guy from Houston who took her on the hometown date where they did the run club. that we spoke about at length last week.
Yep.
Run club with a bunch of buddies and the setup shot where they make up on a bridge with the runners running past them. Anyways, he gets a helicopter ride through Hawaii.
Yep.
They go to the waterfall. They do something down there, and then they hit the overnights. Now, here's the key with Devin. Okay,
tell me. Yep.
Devin has told her that he loves her, that he is in love with her. Devin has slowly but surely and incrementally here gotten to the point where he's like, I need some feedback. I need her to reassure me, because every time I say I love you, she has some kind of like veiled language. She never commits. And Devin at this point wants to break format of the show. He wants the subject to say, I am in love with you.
Yep.
Jenn either doesn't love him or she's reluctant to. She wants to stay true to the format of the show. You and I have talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain leads, subjects of the show that are company people, that they want to stay true to the format so that there's a surprise up until the very end. And then there are these rogue leads that bend the rules a little bit. They want to be decent to their boyfriends and girlfriends and actually tell them ahead of time what's coming. The show hates that. The show hates when they tell them what's coming. So it creates this weird, awkward compromise of like vague language.
Yes.
Anyways, so Devin, he goes through the uneaten food, doesn't get what he wanted. You should hear Devin describe his relationship with Jenn. He's like very good at articulating how he feels, why he knows she's the one, why he's going to get down on a knee. Like, he's just very overt. And to use a Gen Z term here, he's very intentional with his language.
Yep.
And he's just not getting what he wants.
Yeah. Yes. So, couple things. One, he needs to read that book, She's Just Not That Into You. That's the first thing, because she ain't feeling it. She ain't feeling it like as much as he's feeling it. And she's especially not feeling it, and not to jump ahead, but you really need to juxtapose the Devin fantasy suite date with the Marcus fantasy suite date. And Marcus has read She's Just Not That Into You. And Marcus knows how to roll. He plays it cool. He's aloof. He's not going to give you too much. Devin is this puppy dog with somebody that's she's a little self-conscious. So she's like, if he likes me this much, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, what's going on with this guy that likes me too much? Another thing that's important to note, since the year 2000, I believe this story's from 2019. Since the year 2000, there have been 38 helicopter crashes in Hawaii. Kauai had the most fatalities than the other islands with 25. Although Oahu and the Big Island each had 4 fatalities. And I just want you to know that I checked, and Blue Hawaiian Helicopters, the helicopter that they flew around the island, has, let's see here, lost it. I believe they've killed about 4 people in the last few years. So the Blue Hawaiian Helicopter shows up, and I'm like, hey, fuck off. Give me the date where they go get donuts and go shopping, right? How'd I get stuck with the hell? And look, they're taking their chances with these helicopter dates, because there used to be like 1 helicopter a season. This is at least the 3rd or 4th helicopter this season. Like, this is just a wild choice to be putting them in helicopters all the time. That's all I'll say. They're death machines.
When you bring up helicopter, it doesn't even seem like this season. It seems like years ago.
Yeah.
This was the season that they went and saw the 13 apostles.
Yes, in a helicopter. Yeah.
Or is it the 12 apostles?
12. There's the 12 apostles.
The world-renowned spot in Australia that everybody knows about. The 12 apostles.
The 12 apostles. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah.
That was helicopter. So here's the problem with Devin. Okay, he wants answers. He wants reciprocation. He's very good at expressing his feelings. She is not. She's not very emotionally
Yeah.
mature.
And she
She's
stuck
not
it into
as
him. Yeah.
right. She's not as emotionally immature as our guy Sam, the cowboy from South Carolina that talks like
Oh,
he's
yeah.
from Jersey Shore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he has a
And
personality disorder.
and that also, by the way, is the interesting contrast here. Devin won in the rivalry between Sam, the Rube
Yeah.
from South Carolina,
Yep.
and Devin. They were rivals, and Devin has won, and he's down to the final
Yep.
2. And but when they get to the fantasy suite, I can almost see, like in bubble form, her saying, "I wish Sam was here." Like
Yeah.
she really wanted to have sex with Sam,
Yeah, she
and
did.
Devin is just kind of the guy that's a good guy. And he's just a good guy to have around.
Yeah.
And as he puts it, I've been the safe play in a lot of relationships, and he
Yeah.
is safe. By the way,
Yeah.
he's
He's safe.
a decent dude, but there's nothing that
Yep.
like reeks of sex. There's nothing
No.
physical about the guy. And we all saw him run last week.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I have a point on that. So you're right. He's safe because he's really into her. He's going to be really devoted. He really wants to be in love. He comes from a shit family. Like he checks a lot of boxes. She's just not that into him. But I did on that note, Jason, at some point or after the date, she's describing the date and she's like, a lot of people say he looks like Pete Davidson. Not a compliment, by the way. Pete Davidson looks sickly. That's you wouldn't want to be
I'm
compared to him.
See, this is I was watching it with my super hot girlfriend Christina. Okay,
Yeah,
and she actually says this the morning after overnights
yeah,
because there's a sexual innuendo there. This is exactly what
yes,
she says. People
yeah,
say he looks like Pete Davidson,
yep,
but after last night, he's not Pete Davidson in every way. He's better than Pete
yeah,
Davidson in
yeah,
every way. Now,
yeah.
let's break down that sentence
Oh yeah,
real quick. People say he looks like Pete Davidson, to your point that you just made. That's an insult.
it is.
Like Pete Davidson is known for the ugly guy who gets amazing looking chicks. But
Yes,
the first part, he's ugly. So you don't
yeah,
want to be the guy that, if you want
yeah,
to be compared to Pete Davidson,
yeah,
you want to be the guy that pulls a lot of great tail, but
yes,
regardless of how you look. But
yeah,
just to say he looks like Pete Davidson, that's like saying he looked like Steve Buscemi,
yeah. Right.
And,
Not a compliment.
when she says that he's better than Pete Davidson, quote, in every way,
Yep.
that means that the legend that is Pete Davidson is that he has a massive penis
Yes,
and he's
that's exactly
really
right.
good in bed.
Yeah,
So I guess we can draw those conclusions from that statement that he
yeah,
has a massive penis that was inside of me.
yeah, yes, yeah. Well, yes. So I saw that too, and I have a little bit of a different takeaway from it. And let me see what you think about this. I have long advocated on both on this podcast and my other podcast and in my personal life. I brought this up years before I had a
Mhm.
public persona. I would often say, I just want the rumor. Pete Davidson, you haven't seen his penis. I haven't seen his penis.
Right.
But there's a rumor that he's got a large, girthy, beautiful,
Mhm.
handsome penis.
Yeah.
I have always argued that having too big of a hog can be a burden to a man.
Mhm.
There's places, there's women that are just going to go. There's women that are going to go, "Oh yeah, I like that." But there's more women that are going to go, "That's a little too much for me." Like
Correct.
maybe once in a while, it's a little too
Yeah.
much. I
Mhm.
have always said, I just want the rumor. I just want people to go, "Oh, there's Brian Beckner. He's got that big old thing. You
Mhm.
heard about Brian, he's packing. He's put together." And then when it comes out, it's fine. It's whatever. It's nothing
Mhm.
special. But I got the rumor. The rumor gets you in the door. I posit, Jason, that they're in that bed with their nasty breath from the night before. And Devin's like, "Look, girl, last week we did my hometowns. People saw me run on that running date. And it's like, I've seen the dailies. That's not going to go good for me. They've seen my running style. Can you do me a solid? And when it's time for your one-on-one interview, give me the rumor.
Mm-hmm.
Help me out here. People say I look like Pete Davidson. All you got to do is say, I'm just like Pete Davidson everywhere, including below the belt, where I got a big ass hog. Just give me the rumor. It'll offset the fact that I run like something less than a male. What do you think?
No, I think that's a great theory. I think you
asked
read
for the
that
rumor.
correctly.
Yeah,
You want the rumor, not the details.
that's right.
You take a couple options off the table if it's too big in bed. So yeah. So
Way to take it to another level, Jason.
yeah. So basically, Jenn again. I mean, she wasn't as overt as you had said earlier in the podcast,
Yeah.
which is she didn't say we had sexual intercourse, but she did say he's better than Pete Davidson in every way.
Yeah.
That's code for all those things. So
Translation: big, girthy
yeah.
cock. Yeah.
So they say goodbye, and Devin, and this is the theme of the episode. Devin is unsatisfied. He wants to hear her tell him that she loves him too, and she won't do it. Okay. And this is foreshadowing. This is a great foreshadowing, actually. I think he said it throughout the season, but he definitely emphasizes it here. My biggest fear is that I tell her I'm in love with her, she doesn't reciprocate, and she tells somebody else she's in love with them. That's
What's that got to do with
foreshadowing.
you? Yeah. It
Foreshadowing.
is. It
Okay?
is. Yes, absolutely.
It basically plays out that exact way. But first, we need to do a
Yes.
real boring fantasy suite date with Jonathan.
Yeah.
Jonathan, as Petros Papadakis said, is fairly forgettable, other than this one impressive tattoo on one of his legs. Other
I
than that,
never saw it.
yeah, he likes to wear short shorts and he likes to show off the tattoo. He's the lacrosse player, really nice guy.
Yeah.
And her whole thing with Jonathan is he hasn't told her that he's in love with her yet. He's used the keyword falling. At hometowns, he said, I'm falling in love with you, and that was a very big deal for him. Not enough for her. By the time we're at Fantasy Suites, we're a couple of days from engagement. You need to go from falling to in love, or you're out. So she says, by the end of the date, we got to do that. So they do some shopping, they do some eating. The uneaten food is about talking about each other's cultures.
Yeah.
He says he wants a mixed family. He wants to learn Vietnamese. He wants to cook Vietnamese. They get a fantasy suite key. They both consent. They wake up, no shoes involved, no toilet, no toothpaste either.
That's right.
Jonathan says we went to bed smiling and we woke up smiling, which is code for we had multiple orgasms all night. There's more champagne.
He replaced Sam as the one. She's like, oh, I'm just bringing this guy, and more power to her. God bless her. Like I in no way do I mean this to denigrate her in any way. She's like, no, this guy's hot, and I got the chance to fuck him, and I'm gonna fuck him. I'm not, he's not gonna win the show, but he's definitely gonna have sex with me, and more importantly, I'm gonna have sex with him, and I'm gonna enjoy it. Good for her.
I think that Jonathan is the most fuckable.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely.
Of the three.
Absolutely.
Because Devin is just the nice guy who looks like Pete Davidson.
Yeah. Yep.
Marcus is far too complicated. You never know if you're in bed with him if he's thinking about those days. In Afghanistan.
Yep. Being in the shit in Fallujah. Yep.
The days in the foster homes. I mean, he's dealing with a lot of shit. The sex can't be easy with that guy. So I think Jonathan is the easiest guy to have sex with and have fun with, and I think they did. But when he says they woke up smiling, that's all but saying we had intercourse.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing about that date that I don't want to skip over. So the first date, and by the way, just for clarity, 5 crashes including 12 dead and 9 injured, have involved aircraft operated by Blue Hawaiian helicopters. So I misstated their murders by 60%. They actually killed 12 and injured 9. The first date was let's go on a helicopter. The second date, what's the first thing they do? They go.
What did they do?
I'll tell you. They go and they get a fucking donut. Now look, Jason.
True.
Look, Jason. I enjoy a donut. A donut is it's delicious. In Southern California, a lot of people don't know this. Donut culture is very, very, it's just part of growing up in Southern California. There's donut shops everywhere. That's something you do growing up here. You get donuts. I abstain from consuming a donut because when I eat one, it's about 45 seconds of just tremendous pleasure. Just so good. Just absolutely couldn't be more happy. Followed by 6 to 7 hours of praying for my own death because I feel like complete shit. The last thing I want to do before having a full day to spend with somebody is consume 70 grams of sugar and fried dough and then have to stay awake and not pretend like I would rather be curled up in a ball hoping to die. Given the choice, I would almost choose near certain death in a Hawaiian helicopter over eating a donut as the first point of business in a day-long date, especially when I'm going to be asked to get my dick hard and put on offer up a real Becknering at the end of the date. Like somebody's going to want to be Becknered at the end of this, and I'm not consuming a donut at any time in that day if I got to perform at peak levels later that day. That's it.
And the wrinkle to this is that
tell me
he must be a health freak because
he's fit.
I mean he says that he barely gives in on this, by the way, that I typically don't eat sweets. I'm guessing he's very much a body is my temple guy.
Yep.
But he's like, but for Jenn, we might be getting married soon, so I guess I'll do it. It's worth a cheat day. That's how hardcore he is. So he was he's very conflicted about it.
He's a college athlete. Yeah.
They seem to have a good time. He's a really good guy from San Diego.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know why he didn't get the nod for Bachelor. I want to hear the story from our guy, Reality Steve.
Sure, he'll let us know.
Got so after the Jonathan date, or maybe even in between.
Yep.
They show, this is very important, Jesse Palmer, who spent most of Joey's season playing tennis. Remember? Playing tennis.
Yeah.
Now they show him on some kind of a makeshift driving range where they're like hitting balls into the ocean.
Look, Kramer murdered a whale doing this on Seinfeld. You can't just be hitting golf balls into the ocean.
I just didn't see any formal range setup. It just looked like they just put something in the, some grass in the middle off a cliff and they just hit balls. I could be wrong. But
you see billionaires doing this off the back of their yacht a lot. Yeah.
Because golf balls mean nothing to them. They just buy a ton of balls.
Exactly.
So they're doing golf. And it's almost like, and I felt this way with the tennis last year, they really want to show Jesse as an athlete. They want to show him as an active guy who's always doing things. And the show kind of gets in the way of his athletics.
Yeah.
So he's very much playing golf or hitting balls. Yeah. And then Marcus is with him hitting balls. And they're having a conversation as they're hitting balls.
I can't believe I missed this.
Very man-to-man conversation. Marcus basically explaining what we know, which is he's not there. But
Yeah.
Jen,
Yeah.
there's far too many rational things going through Marcus's mind. He
Yeah.
hasn't known this
Surprising.
chick long. He hasn't known her long enough to be in
Yep.
love with her. Very reasonable. Almost like that's what humans do. They're not supposed to fall in love in 3 weeks. And
No.
then he's just torn about it because
Yeah.
he knows the format of the show is to get married in 3 weeks, and he's torn up about the fact that he's not there yet, and he's holding her up and the rest of the show up, and it's really eating him alive inside, and he's tormented
Yes.
by it.
Because he's a
And
good person. He wants to
he
do
is.
the right thing.
He's far
Yeah.
too good a person for the show. Like
Yep.
they casted a much too normal a person and
Yes.
a really compassionate dude who has a horrible backstory and has
Yes.
survived it and is better because of it. But anyways, he basically just tells Jesse all this. I'm really feeling conflicted here about continuing because I know the format of the show is somebody's got to get married.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
anyways,
Oh, hold on.
yeah.
That reminds me. At the very beginning of the show, they're like, "We're in Hawaii. We're hanging out in Hawaii. What a place, Hawaii!" And and Jen goes, and look, I like Jen. There's nothing, she's fine. She's great. Like with last Bachelorette was Charity. I wasn't really a fan. She bored me. Jen also kind of boring, but much more interesting than many other Bachelorettes.
Yeah.
But at the very beginning, she goes, "Oh, Hawaii, so beautiful, blah, blah, blah." And she goes, "I can't believe I get to get engaged here." Which is like, how the fuck do you know you're getting engaged?
Right.
Like it's no one is under any compunction to propose to you. You could pick a guy. I mean, are you gonna do the proposing? You could she could pick Marcus, and Marcus could be like, "Let's see where this goes. I'm not proposing." It was a little presumptive and actually a little patronizing to me as the viewer for her just to go, "I can't believe I get to get engaged here." You don't know you're getting engaged, or do you?
Yeah. I think that's there's this show reaches a point every season where one of the cast members admits, "Man, I want to be engaged," and
It's so weird.
there's very little thought as to like how that comes off.
I know.
So is the goal just to be engaged, and the person that wins the show happens to be that person, or is the goal to fall in love and have deep feelings? And we don't really think that that's the case ever. So. Marcus carries this conflicting feeling into this date. It's a rainy date. They get on a boat. They're going on a boat. And she's like, the surprise on the boat happens when the sun goes down. So he's telling her on the boat that he just hasn't been very confident, that the hometowns were great, the compulsory hometowns discussion with all that. And he's like, I just don't feel confident. And she says, why are you not confident? And it's like, why do you think, dude? Jen hasn't told him that she's in love with him. He's here with two other dudes who seem to really be in love with her, and he's completely conflicted about that, and he's just not confident in himself. So anyways,
he's normal. He's not confident because he's normal. It's a fucking weird experience that only a normal person would never feel comfortable in that situation. So he's like, "Oh, I'm normal," is what he's saying. And she's like, "Why are you fucking normal? Don't you know you're on The Bachelor? Where'd they find you?"
That's the thing. So the night date was they're going to look at glow-in-the-dark manta rays. They're going to snorkel, look under the water at glow-in-the-dark manta rays.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's all about the visual, and you got to give the audience something visual. But like, I'm just shocked that they didn't do like the love analogies here. They steered clear of it, but they're like, I'm surprised they weren't like snorkeling is a lot like being in love, and that you're always holding your breath, or you have to look through murky waters and you don't know what's coming or whatever. So they sit down for uneaten food, and he starts to go into why he's conflicted and he's not quite there yet. And he's really hemming and hawing. He's taken a long time to basically say he's unsure. She says, look, there's a lot of phases to love. And then she says this, and my super hot girlfriend, Christina, understands what she said in this moment, but I was confused. This is what she says.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'd be lying. This is what she said. There are many phases in love. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't in love with you. So
Yeah.
I
Passive
guess that's
voice.
passive and, maybe
Yeah.
a double negative in there.
Yeah.
There's no overt language in there, but I guess he receives it. He understands it. She's basically saying, I understand you're conflicted, but she basically says, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you I'm in love with you. And maybe that'll sway your feelings. Maybe that'll get you up to speed faster. That was
Yep.
basically what it was. But it's the way she said it, and then she says something later in the episode again that only confuses the subject. But anyways, um, after all this hemming and hawing, and there was a tease from last week where he's basically saying, I'm not there yet to her. We just assume that Marcus is going to go home.
Yeah.
Marcus is going to be like, there's two guys here that are great, that are further along. I'm just not there yet. Thank you very much. And then out of nowhere, he just says, but I'm going to give this another day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they get the fantasy suite keys, they consent to the date. They have to on
Yep.
camera by law, they need to agree consent to the fantasy date.
Yep.
Um they wake up the next morning, they've obviously had sex, everything is
Yep.
amazing, and he, in a matter of 12 hours, has gained a lot of love and affection for this woman
Yeah.
by the morning.
Well, not
So
love.
not quite love,
Not
but he's
love.
gained a lot of feelings for her.
Yep. And
So
she hasn't told anybody she's loves them yet.
if you're doing the scoreboard,
Yeah.
she's told him she's in love with him, and the other two she hasn't. But let me go back to the first part that I mentioned. Devin's worst nightmare
Yeah.
is him telling her he loves her not reciprocating, and telling somebody else that she is in love with him.
Yeah. You're
That's
right. That's good for it.
exactly how this played out. So so Devin's screwed, but before we go to Devin
Yeah.
and all the drama
Yeah.
with him, they had this thing that always annoys me. The next morning, they have Marcus walking in with a tray of food to feed her in bed, breakfast in
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
And she looks at him like, "Oh my god. Like, that's so generous and thoughtful of you." It it's not like he made the food. It's not
No.
like he even went and got the food. There was a
No.
production assistant that had
Yeah.
a tray of breakfast
Yeah.
waiting for him to carry in there, and
Yeah.
she makes it out like he's like the most generous, kind
Yeah.
guy ever to bring her in.
Well, this is like when they take them shopping and they come back and they're like, "Look
That's
what
right.
Nick bought me. Can you believe this?" And he didn't buy her shit. And she's got all these designer clothes, and the other girls are all jealous. And he just went where the producers told him, "Hey, you guys are going to go in this store, and she's going to try shit on." And then he gets all the credit.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
So they say goodbye, and she says something cruel. She says, "Don't overthink this while I'm gone." And it's like, that's such a shitty thing to say. The
Yeah.
implication there is there's two guys here that I'm also having sex with, but don't think about that stuff. Just don't think about it. So before the rose ceremony,
Yeah.
um they flash to Devin. He goes and talks to Jesse and just starts crying to him. And in this moment, he's like, I haven't heard anything back. I feel like I'm one of, I don't feel like I'm hers. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm one of guys, and it's eating me up inside. I need to ask her point blank and get an answer, or I'm probably going home. So he jumps the line and he approaches her room. And so the first night ends with the cliffhanger of her answering and acting all surprised,
Yeah.
even though she has full makeup on, her
Yeah.
hair was just done. There's
Yeah.
lighting and cameras in her room,
Of
but she's
course.
really surprised that he showed up. He just showed up before the rose ceremony. So the cliffhanger is that they sit down,
Yeah.
and the next night is couched by like this. Um, Jesse is in a studio. They're going to do the men tell all.
Yep.
But before they do the men tell all, they're going to go back and see what happens with Devin and the rose ceremony. So it's one of those in studio, everybody's going to watch.
Yep.
There's a lot of reaction shots.
Yep.
Um, Devin sits down and I think he puts on like a master class of explaining his feelings to her
Yep.
and
Wait, hold on,
asking
because I didn't
her
watch
what
this
his
far. I didn't
is.
watch this far. Can I predict what happens?
Sure.
Because I didn't get to this. I only got to the Marcus
Yeah.
date. Devin comes in, explains his feelings. She allays his concerns vaguely and lets him know that she says probably something along the lines of, you wouldn't be here if I didn't have feelings for you. The reason you're still here is because I do have these feelings for you. And you should feel confident in that. Devin's fears are quelled. He gets a rose, Marcus gets a rose, Jonathan goes home. Am I close?
You're close. The show,
Yeah.
I would say the show typically does that.
Yeah.
So you're basically going by the trend of the shows over the years.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I will
Yeah.
say this particular scene ventures off the usual show when they.
Oh.
So he puts on like this masterclass of expressing his feelings and articulating very well without much stuttering or stumbling.
Yep.
I have done all this. I know I'm all in. In past relationships, I've always felt like a guy that was safe, like a guy that people were just kind of waiting until the next better thing. To be honest, I feel unseen. He does the Gen Z term. I feel unseen. I
Yeah.
don't really feel loved. I know I'm
Yeah.
giving you my love, but I don't feel loved. I need to know if you love me. I need to hear you tell me that you love me because I don't feel that way.
This is basically the verbal equivalent of Devin running. Like, this is when you come
Yeah.
out and just you sound, and look, I preach being vulnerable, and there is, and now I'm contradicting myself, but there is a line you got to walk where where you can be vulnerable and still seem like a man, and still not,
Right.
and still seem like you're not begging for her to like you. You know,
No.
there's a way to do it, and he doesn't know what it is.
No. He has zero shame.
Yeah,
There is zero masculinity in this.
I
And
agree.
I say
I
that
saw him run.
I say that from a guy in my generation.
That's right. We're older.
He fully gives in to her here, and I think that that's probably very attractive and becoming to most people. But for a guy's guy, yeah, he very much is giving too much here.
Yeah.
He puts it all on the line, and this is what I was thinking. Okay, as he's
Yeah.
begging and looking so humiliating, this is her perfect chance to be like, your intuition, your senses are correct here.
Yeah.
Your instincts are correct. I'm not there. I'm not as far as you are, and I feel really bad that I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry that we've gotten to this point. But since you are kind of putting me on the spot here, and I appreciate this, I'm gonna say goodbye to you. But I really
Whoa.
care about you. No.
Whoa.
This is what I told Christina.
Yeah.
She should have said. He
Oh,
was
right. Yeah.
basically he was basically giving her an
It's a
out.
freebie. This is a freebie. Yes, you
This
don't.
is
You
an
come
out.
out
Okay?
looking good. You go.
Yeah.
He's giving me an opening. I'm gonna
Right.
take it, and I look like the hero here
Right.
because I let him off.
Yes.
I saved him from himself.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what does she do? She does the exact opposite. Uh, she's seen on cameras. She's seen on camera crying, basically saying,
Yeah.
"I can't believe he doesn't feel loved.
Yeah.
I'm just not very good at expressing my feelings." And then they show her with him, and this is kind of pathetic on a couple levels. First of all, she doesn't do what I just said, which is let him down easy and make her job easier. She says, "Quote, um, where is it? Of course I love you, you idiot." So the first time she expresses her love for this guy, she calls him an idiot. And and she couches it like it was a known thing, like it was assumed
Yeah.
when he had
Yes.
just spent the last 10 minutes telling her that it's not obvious.
Yes.
And
This
so
is, I will say, this is very common in relationships, though. People go, of course, you know, the thing I've never
right.
told you before.
Yeah.
You know, people assume things in, now these
Yes.
two aren't really in a relationship, but this is not that far out of the realm. This is, a lot of people have this experience that they're having.
Correct. And I felt bad for the guy for a couple reasons. First of all, I don't think he's going to win. And this only elongates or prolongs his pain, okay?
Yeah.
She says, "Of course I love you, you idiot." It was just such a bad way to say I love you for the first time. And
Yeah.
they embrace, but he's placated. Now he's good to
Yeah.
go. They've both
Yeah.
said they love him. They love each other, and he's good to go. He's ready to go. Next scene is the rose ceremony.
Yeah.
Devin gets the first rose. Devin gets the first one.
Wow.
It's between Marcus and Jonathan. Marcus
Jonathan, she
gets the
hit it and
second
quit it.
one.
Yeah, she hit it and quit. Of course she did.
Marcus,
Yeah.
yeah. Marcus and Devin are going to proposals. Both have very complicated, nuanced things. She could have
Yeah.
let Devin go, and then it would have been much easier to let Jonathan go at the proposals. She
Yeah.
could have played this a right way. Jonathan would
Yep.
have been a lot easier to let down.
Easier to dump.
Now she's told two dudes that she's in love with them, and
No,
she has to let one of them down.
She did say "I love you" to Devin, because she definitely said
yeah.
"I love you" to Marcus.
Well, of course, I love you, idiot. Yeah.
Because Marcus, he played it like the mystery method. Are you familiar with the greatest book ever written, The Game, by Neil Strauss, about the greatest sex machine that's ever lived, a gentleman named Mystery from Canada, who had a whole system for how to sex as many women as you want. And it's basically, you go up to them and you start talking to their less attractive friend and start telling them that the girl you really want to have sex with is dressed badly. And also you wear a big scarf and you know how to do magic. And if you do all of those things together, there is no woman on the planet that won't have sex with you. And Marcus kind of did that thing too, where he's like, I'm not sure, you're okay, I'm not really there. And she's like, what? Like, now I want you. I kind of liked you before. Now, hey, I'm gonna pull a Sam, and I'm just gonna say out of nowhere, hey, I love you, to try to get you to turn your way, to turn my direction. She didn't do that to Dylan, or was it Devin?
Yeah. Jonathan, Dylan, Devin. So you have, what's his name? Jonathan is just dumbstruck. Like he thinks he was secure, and she walks him out, and she again just doesn't handle the goodbye well. Yeah. Jonathan was like, "This is my fault. I should have been more transparent earlier. I should have allowed my feelings to come sooner. This is my bad, and I feel awful. I'm gonna hate myself forever." And instead of her letting him off the hook and be like, "Dude, you were amazing. We just weren't as far ahead as the other guys. You're great. You have nothing to worry about." She just lets him sit there, and she nods her head. Like she lets him go on and on about how bad a guy he is for not being more in love. It was so hard to watch, and she never let him helped him in that situation, which sucks.
Yeah, that's bullshit, because they both play lacrosse, and Jonathan slung dick, and he's got that sweet tattoo on his leg. Like, he's very likable.
Yes. So we have Devin and we have Marcus for the next episode. They did the preview of the finale, and I don't know. They kind of made it out that she tells one of them, "I need you to stop proposing to me right now."
Yeah.
But they don't indicate obviously which one. Jesse promises that it's going to be an amazing, nail-biting, edge of your seat finale.
Yeah.
But not before there was a men tell all. And I'm not going to go into too many details about the men tell all, but there were two takeaways. Okay.
Tell me.
It was Sam's comeuppance. Okay.
Sam
from some South Carolina had a lot to answer for, because he was the dick in the house, and he was a dick to her, and he had a lot to answer for. So the cast members crushed him, and then Jenn comes out, to sit on the hot seat, and she had this like amazing prepared soliloquy about Sam.
Yeah.
How she watched it back, and she saw how he acted with everybody else. She saw again how he acted with her, and she was disgusted. And then I guess this is a reality Steve question. He has spent the time online during these episodes having his family both defend him
Oh,
and denigrate her.
no.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's
yeah.
where, because Sam didn't really do anything wrong. He's just a dummy. He's just a loser. Like he's just
Right.
not somebody that can have a relationship with
Right.
anybody. He thinks he is, but he's not. I heard somebody on Twitter said that he, much like Bachelor at winner Jed, the guitar player from Nashville, who was selected, I believe, by Hannah Brown, only for us to find out that he had a girlfriend up until about 4 minutes before he left to be the Bachelorette. It's my understanding that Sam also, as most of these guys do, let's be honest, had a girlfriend that he left to go be on the Bachelorette. Did that come out?
That didn't come up. We'll ask Reality
surprising.
Steve next week. But what did come up is that I guess he's had a lot of social media defenders, his family members. But he tried in this episode to take full accountability for everything he did. And, the main thing becomes the main thing was substituted with 100%. 100%. So no matter what the cast members or Jesse or Jenn said to him, like everything started with 100%. I take full accountability. Like there was a certain amount of like media training or something that he had. And we find out after the men tell all that Grant is the new Bachelor.
Yeah, you spoiled that for us a while back. And
Last
I got to
week.
be honest, I couldn't pick Grant out of a line. I know he's black. I don't know. I don't remember him. I don't know a fucking thing about him. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad Bachelor, but who knows if he's going to be a good Bachelor because no one knows who the fuck he is.
Right. And he seems like a perfectly good guy, but that doesn't make for a good cast member.
No.
I thought Jonathan, if I have to do kind of a redo here and look over who deserves this, I think Jonathan probably deserves the Bachelor. So that means we'll get Reality Steve's update on this, but maybe they offered it to him and he declined. I think whoever she doesn't take as a husband, I think they are very deserving of a Bachelor. So something happened here to have, because Grant was like the 6th or 7th place winner. I mean,
it's crazy.
He told her he loved her after like 2 weeks, and she's like, I got to say goodbye to you.
He has no recognition. Like it's just such a weird choice. There has to be, and we'll have to get that from Reality Steve, who I assuming you're going to effort for next week.
Finale's next week. Looking forward to it. Devin
Can't wait.
And Marcus. Devin and Marcus.
Can't wait. All right. Excellent work, Jason. As always, for Jason Stewart, my name is Brian Beckner. This has been the Bachelor Lifestyle from theballerlifestyle.com. We will see you for the finale on YouTube next week.
Down all the shows. It's The Bachelor on ABC with Chris Harrison. You crying in a limo, sent home. How embarrassing, the most dramatic ever. And that's what we like. Play your cards right, you might end up on Paradise. Here's the key to the fantasy suite. Balls deep so you can sleep with your third or fourth girl of the week. We making a connection. We fall